Good morning, YouTube. It's August 11th, and we are going to do our weekly garden walk. It's going to be a gorgeous day today, about 77 degrees. And I got to get the lawn mowed, but don't pay too much attention to that. It's not that bad. It's just that when everybody else around me does their lawn, it makes my lawn look bad. I like to let the clover come out for the bees. Okay, so let's get started here in the front of the house like we normally do. Take a look at these containers down here, are looking really nice. Love the caladium. It takes a while for the caladiums to come out here because we don't get a lot of heat. But once they do, they're absolutely gorgeous. I actually have one in that container back there. It's the only thing that survived the chipmunk situation in that container back there. And it makes it look like it's nice and full because it's so big. These calla lilies, I definitely don't think I'm going to see any blooms off of them. I mean, the foliage is gorgeous, but I'm not seeing anything that looks like a flower at this point. Shady area, looking good. The little maidenhair fern did get some burn on her when it was hot, but now that the weather has cooled back down again, she looks great. All the hostas look beautiful in here. That lamium is new this year, and it's done just great. A few little impatiens that Lily put in as just some annual color, just to have some little pops here and there. Everything looks good. The lungwort is so pretty. I did some cuttings off of that lungwort, something I had read on the internet that you could propagate through cuttings, and I want to have more of it. Obviously, don't want to buy more. I took some cuttings and boo, it didn't work. I gave it as much time as I could, and it was definitely weeks and weeks and just no rooting. So that was kind of sad. But what are you going to do? I'll just look for more next year. The heuchera, the Dolce Apple Twist heuchera that I transplanted, it's doing great. This one still, these leaves are living here. This one has a few new, and it definitely feels rooted in, as does this one. Yeah, this one's doing good too. And of course, that's the one that had roots on it. So I've had some good rooting. I think we can look forward to having a nice little border with that heuchera next year. The trumpet vine that comes over from my neighbor Lola's yard, comes over our fence here, our shared fence, is blooming. It's gorgeous. It just kind of cascades over the fence, and then you can see the flowers. It's really beautiful. I enjoy having that come over the fence like that, and then this is what it looks like from the front. Just adds a nice little bit of drama to the front border. The serendipity alliums. Oh, I love these so much. Their color is so gorgeous. And then with the little molten lava potentia back here, so pretty. These two colors together looks really great. That potentilla, I know I'm not saying that right. I got that in a bare root sale this year, so it's not at its full size, but it's gorgeous. I was really surprised to even see that it flowered at all. It's so pretty. It's just adorable, and it looks great with the serendipity alliums. Looking good on this side as well. The daylilies are starting to go over. Some of them, the going bananas, are still going strong. These are ones that are from just Walmart, just bare bulbs or however they're sold. And that's their first year to flower, so I wasn't expecting a huge bloom from them. These little dianthus, these are ones that came back from last year. They're gorgeous. Really pretty. Really, really pretty color. Again, I don't remember them from last year. The foliage is definitely different from stuff that I've purchased at like Walmart. But it really must have been from Walmart. I didn't start any dianthus from seed last year that I remember. So except for some Sweet William, I think I started some Sweet William, but this is not Sweet William. Phlox is still going great. This one is done. And the Boom Chocolata hardy geranium is pretty much gone over. I'm going to come out here and cut it again. I don't know if I'll get another set of bloom off it or not. Still have a month till frost, so we'll see how that goes. Here's the Denim and Lace Russian Sage. Looking gorgeous. I love this so much. It's really beautiful. Starting to open up its blooms there. Oops, sorry. This phlox, looking great. Got a few I can deadhead in here. That looks beautiful. This one in the center is still putting out blooms as well. I don't know that I'm going to see anything off of these white phlox. These are the backlight. Ooh, okay. All right, there's some blooms coming on this one. Okay, that's the backlight, or it's the Proven Winners one. Hold on a second. Let me see. I got a tag in here. Oh, okay. Can we get that? Luminary Backlight. It's a white one. And then I don't know if I've talked about this with you guys yet, but I did start some of the blue fescue grass from seed this year and have a few little clumps in here. So I have like a clump of 3 here, another clump of 3 down there, and a clump of 5 in front of the going bananas here. It's doing really good. You know, blue fescue, it's called Blue Buddy, so it's not like a really big plant to begin with, but I'm happy with it, and that will come back. That'll be perennial. And then we have the going bananas here. Gorgeous. Still lots of buds coming there. New little buds coming up still. Looks good. This phlox, this is its first year to bloom. I started this from seed last year. The color is very dramatic. I'm really loving it. Just with that dark center and then that deep pink. I like it a lot. And then as it ages out, it gets that little bit of white towards the center. It looks great. It looks really nice over here, just kind of popping up. Now that the yarrow is starting to fade out quite a bit, I'm going to come in and cut back the yarrow. I should be able to get more blooms. You can kind of see there's buds down the line, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut those flower heads off. And hopefully we'll get new coming in for the rest of the fall here. I did cut the Sky Dance Salvia, or not cut, dug the Sky Dance Salvia up out of the garden beds, the kitchen garden beds, and put those last 2 in here. So the biggest one is right here, and then the next one is kind of down a little ways right there. The Casablanca lilies are stunning. You can see why I would like to have more of these. They're absolutely gorgeous. I really love lilies, and these are just some of my favorites. Just see if we can get a good shot of that. It's so beautiful. Yeah, really gorgeous. They're lovely. Just keep buying more bulbs there and see what I can get for next year. The other sky dance that I have in, doing okay, even though it's got a little bit of slug damage there. It seems fine. Even these smaller ones that really got beat up by the slugs back here, they're still kicking, and I'm hoping to see those come back next year. This is just a gorgeous flower head on this hydrangea. So pretty. And then they just aged out with that darker greenish mauve-y look. Really nice. Okay, so the Triloba rudbeckia are all pretty much open, and you can see just how gorgeous this is, especially up against the red of the house. It's just stunning. It's really, really beautiful. And I'm loving the what is that, mahogany splendor hibiscus with it too. It definitely is giving that fall vibe and color scheme, and this is just gorgeous. See how beautiful this is. There's flowers everywhere on this. And like I said, it's about as tall as me. I'd say it's about 5 feet tall and probably about 4 feet at its widest. It's really gorgeous. Love it. Yeah, looks good. This one's about to come on and really start popping. Tons of blooms on there as well. This is a cosmos that I dug up out of the kitchen bed. Hi, puppy. Good morning. And transplanted it. It looks like it took. I did that yesterday, so it looks good. The rudbeckia is still doing really well there. I'm going to come in and actually cut some of these, even though most of them are pretty fresh. There's a few that are done, and then there's new blooms coming on the bottom, so I'm going to cut a few of those. Tomatoes, I came through and not limbed up, but like took bottom leaves off of all the tomato plants yesterday, trying to make sure that everything has a lot of air and sunlight. These are the mystery tomatoes. They're interesting looking. I'm interested in tasting them. Pepper's doing good. These little hanging baskets look good. So I did, Lillian and I came in and did a lot of cleanup in here. We cut back chives, we cut back sage, and I put in all the beets that I had on the porch. So those are all planted up, and some cabbage as well. So all that is ready to go for fall. It's in the ground. Just got to keep the slugs off of it, so you will see some slug bait kind of tossed in everywhere. But these beets are ones that we started in the ground in a few different places here. Those still need to get thinned out. Look at these Egyptian walking onions. They're so bizarre looking. Look at such strange plants. I've never grown them before. Now I know my mother had them at a garden in Minnesota when she was living in Minnesota, but I don't remember seeing them or remember them being quite so crazy. So that, look, I guess so that then they fall over and they root in, and that's the walking part of it. And then you can eat these little bulbets here, or I guess you can also eat this stem if it's soft enough. Like this is a little woody, but this here is soft like a chive. or an onion topper. So they're really, really interesting though. They're just add a lot of drama into the kitchen garden. But that's another thing. We did come through and pick like all the shallots out of here, as many onions as we could that were kind of falling over and ready to go, get dried out and cured. A few little cabbages in here, just little guys. These are the Core debut, and they get like, they grow kind of more like a cylindrical shape, and they don't get like huge. They're not huge cabbages, so I'm fine with them being a little small right now. We still got, you know, a good month and a half before frost comes. Cucumbers are starting to take off. We even have some. Look at that. Super excited, as is Lily. A few over here too. So, a rough year for cucumbers between the deer and the chipmunks, but it's looking good. It's looking really good. These are the salt and pepper variety, and I think that I got these seeds from Johnny's. So the peppers are doing really well. We've even got some peppers in here. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's one right down here, which is exciting. So last year I only got like 2 peppers. We're hoping to beat that. And hopefully we get at least 3 peppers this year. The cosmos are really starting to take off. I've came through and cut actually, because I did a little bouquet, but you can see what that's that pink pop socks. This is also that pink pop socks, tons of blooms on there. Here's the spoon tomato that Lily will not allow me to touch, but I don't think she really watches the videos, so you can see how small those are. Isn't that hilarious? Very cute. She's very excited to have some tomatoes, but I don't think we're going to see anything this week. We might, and we're supposed to get into the 80s, low 80s, so that might be enough to sort of get some of these guys turning over, blushing a little bit. These are the blue cream. This guy had a slow start, but he seems to be putting out quite a few flowers now. And then this is the honey drop. Tons of tomatoes on here. We're just waiting for them to start turning. And I came in and really gave this one a haircut so that these lower tomatoes get exposed to some sun. The bigger tomatoes are doing really well. There's the Black Beauties. They're gorgeous. Really pretty. And definitely getting enough sun. So these darker tomatoes, they need to get sun to turn that darker color. So these guys are doing just fine, and lots of blooms on this plant. And then the Cherokee Carbon, get in these massive cosmos here, are doing great. I've got a nice bunch here. Got a few more bunches starting as well. I didn't even get to eat a Cherokee Carbon last year, so I think 2 of them. I started them really late when I realized that Botanical Interest had the seeds, and then they only put out like 2 fruit, and they both got eaten by birds. So that was a bummer. This year I'm going to be a lot more careful about protecting the tomatoes from the birds once they start to turn color. These are the white pop socks cosmos. They're gorgeous. Really pretty. This is one of my dahlias. This is that more burgundy chocolatey colored one. It's a little bit over but still pretty. You can see it has that open face. I really like the open face. This is Bennery's Giant. I think it's a salmon. I cut one off of there. I'm pretty sure it's a salmon color. The Bennery's Giants that I planted this year were just a mix, so I didn't plant any very specific colors. And this is Bennery's Giants in here too, but you can see I don't know how much we'll get off of these as far as cutting goes because they're not in the sunniest spot. Their growth was really stunted by slug damage. And but I think I'll definitely got like buds coming on a few of these. They'll probably just be really short. Here's the really big nasturtium here that we kind of pushed it out over the bed in this direction yesterday when Lily was in here cutting back the chives. And you can see the chives got a really big haircut. All 4 of the chives got that type of haircut. And then I have sage. Let's see, sage in this bed. I'll get behind the stalk. So you can see that got cut back pretty hard as well. There's a pretty little stalk. I'm glad I didn't pull out all the stalk because some of them, now that the weather has gotten cooler, are really putting on some height and some flowers, which is nice. And then here's the other sage. Big haircuts. Big haircuts. Because they still have time to come back before the last frost. And the chives, you know, they'll survive. They don't care. But that'll give me, so that's our second cut on the chives. We're dehydrating them in the house, and I put some in the freezer, just chopped up in a freezer bag. And then we'll get one more harvest right before the frost comes on the chives. And that'll be nice. Then we'll have plenty of chives for the winter. Here's the honey drop from this side. Tons of I love the way green tomatoes look. I think tomatoes are so beautiful. Lily's just ready for eating, but I think just the process of growing tomatoes and how they look through the entire process is just, I think it's a really beautiful plant with really beautiful fruit. I really enjoy growing them. This little dahlia is done for. This is that pink, it's like a pink and yellow, and it's very nice. I just cut a couple off of those for a bouquet. This one still does not have any buds on it. Tons of new growth coming on this, but I still have no idea what the flowers are going to look like on that one. Oh, I wanted to show you guys this, and it's kind of, so I was cutting leaves and stems off of some of the tomatoes a few weeks ago, you know, just sort of keeping everything neat and, you know, running things through the trellis and stuff like that. And I threw the branches over here, and some of them landed in my kiddie pool that had just a little bit of rainwater in it. And it came out here the other day, and they're rooting and they're setting fruit. So I guess I'm growing some tomatoes hydroponically. Oh, there's some more fruit right there. It's crazy. But Lillian and I were laughing so hard about it. So I don't normally like to keep sort of standing water because of mosquitoes and stuff like that. But this is just so much fun. I just come over with the hose and spray new water in it every couple of days unless we get some rain. So, you know, you apparently don't even have to have a real hydroponic setup to grow tomatoes in water. That was funny. I cut back a bunch of the snapdragons just to neaten this up and make sure that we get a new flush for the fall. I'm absolutely loving the snapdragons. Look at this one. That color, oh, it's really beautiful. And I have been letting some of them, you know, go to seed and sort of drop down into the beds. And when I'm cutting them, I'm just throwing them right back into the beds because I definitely want these guys to self-seed and come back for me every year. Like this one. So pretty. Yeah, I've really enjoyed them. And let's see. Okay, I got a little bit of status popping up here. I'm not sure. I think I only planted apricot status, so that's all those will be. Lots of beets in here. And you see all the little white sort of pellets in there. That's all slug stuff. Hopefully we'll keep the slugs off the beets so that they can have some time to grow. You know, put on some good leaf before the slugs start and come and be abusive to them. Few more in here and a few more cabbages in here as well. This all got cleaned out. There was onions in here, and no, there wasn't onions in here. There was green beans in here, and there were green beans that had gotten decimated by the last deer attack. And so I ended up pulling those out, and some of the celosia that just wasn't going to make it. There's a few that look like I could still get something off of them, but there were a few that just they weren't going to make it. So I pulled them and made space for the beets in here. And the beets are planted in like groups of 3. And I don't even know where I kind of picked up that thought. I know for sure. I know it was definitely on YouTube. I want to say it was probably from Roots and Refuge. But she may have got it someplace else. But anyways, like planting them in groups of 3, and then the beets will sort of grow out from each other, you know, and so they don't really get stunted, and you can start them. These are ones that I started in cells, so you can start a bunch in a cell and have those 3, and then just take that clump of soil and pop it in. I did starting them in the ground and starting them in cells because I've had so much slug damage. I didn't know if the ones that I started in the ground were going to make it. And we definitely want to try pickling beets this year. I also really love roasted beets though, so it'll be nice. If we get if we get a ton of beets, they definitely aren't going to go to waste. These green beans have taken a beating, but they're staying alive. So this is rattlesnake. It's climbing in a few places. And then these are homestead. Here also have kind of taken a beating from the deer, from the slugs, but they're still going. And we have plenty of time for those to start and produce green beans for us this year. There's a few more beets in here. Got sunflowers are looking great. Let me see. Oh, this one. So this is one of the ones that the chipmunk planted. I can't quite see any color in there yet, but it's almost open. And I've cut a few from my Pro Cuts here. You can start to see a little bit of color in there. This is, I believe, White Night. Or, yeah, White Night. White Light. Let's see if we can get another one that's showing good color. So you can cut your sunflowers at this stage. As soon as you can see color in there, you can cut them and they'll open up in a vase for you. So you don't have to leave them until they sort of get that full head. So this is Tom and Lynn's garden. They have some container gardening that they do. You can see the dill, and they've got tomatoes going down there, but they also have some sunflowers. They have some raised beds in there as well. And but their sunflowers, you know, they're for decoration in the garden, and they look beautiful. They're really, really pretty. Mine, I cut, pull, and then I'll just plant other stuff in there. Oh, the other thing that I did was in this bed and that bed on the end, I pulled the ranunculus corms out. So I'm going to try and save the ranunculus corms because I really enjoyed the colors. I think I talked about it last time that the package said that the colors were all one color of red, but it really actually ended up having a lot of variety in it. Like red to yellow to orange and pinks in there that I really enjoyed. So I'm going to try and save them. It seems fairly straightforward on how to save the ranunculus corms. So you just, you know, get them to dry out. Right now they do have a lot of dirt on them. I'm just going to give them a couple of days and then sort of bang the dirt off of them and then maybe wash them down and then just let them dry. I mean, they really just have to get dehydrated, and then I'm just going to put them in a like a mesh bag and throw them under the cabinet for next year. I think as long as they're in a space where the temperature isn't fluctuating and isn't too high, which I keep my house around 68 degrees in the winter, so they can really just pretty much go anywhere in my house at that temperature, and then they should be fine. So I'm gonna give it a go. If anything, like I said, no big loss. I think I paid $2 for them on clearance last year, and I stuck them under the cabinet in my house, and they stayed all winter under that cabinet until I got them out in the ground, and I had really good germination on them. So I think I'm just gonna stick with that. This is the peach melba nasturtium. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, so pretty. Really, really gorgeous. And it forms really nice mounded. It's not a trailer. So it just does a really nice mound here. They're great for, you know, corners in your garden beds. The straw flowers are coming on strong. I have cut some, and they're doing great, and areas where I cut are already starting to put on new growth. They're really pretty. I love straw flowers. Again, straw flowers are fantastic because you can use them fresh, and then they stay nice in the vase, and then when everything else has died off, you can take them out of the vase and hang them and have them dry, and they maintain their color and shape really, really well. And I did come in and cut back more of these snapdragons as well, although I can still see some that I could cut back. But they looked gorgeous too. Those are mostly the Orange Wonder in this bed, although there are a few sort of mixed in that came out of the Maximum Mix, I want to say it was called. But for the most part, it was Orange Wonder in this bed. That's what these are right here. And they're gorgeous. Really pretty sunset colors. Here's one of those stock that has just come on really beautiful. I love the way the stock look in the garden. They do well in the vase if you want to cut them, but they're just so cottagey and romantic and lovely in the beds. I tend to sort of just leave them, and they smell amazing. They have that like clovey scent to them. And all the stock that I have in here this year came from Baker Creek. So here's a few more kind of tucked in here, and they'll just keep on growing as the weather gets cooler. So that's nice. I didn't think that I was going to have a lot of success with them this year. These peppers are doing good, even though they did get some damage in the last deer attack you can see under here, but they have really just pushed out new growth very quickly and starting to set a lot of flowers. Actually thinking maybe I should have that deer come back and chew on this one a little bit, because you can see it doesn't have any flowers. But this one was like, we gotta set fruit because of the deer. Okay, we got a few queen lime zinnias in here, this one here and this one here. Really pretty. I've cut from those. You know, they just have the basic queen lime look to them, of greens and orangey reds and things like that. They're really pretty. Again, this was just a mix. I did plant very specific queen lime colors on this side, but none of those survived. So these were just a mix of seeds. So, and they've done really well. They look good and they're starting to put on some height now. Like I said, I've already cut off of them. There's the little honey nut squash, which is not going to give me any squash, but I just can't bear to take it up out of the ground because it's growing. And then I have a few, I think these are summer squash, under these cages here, and I threw some slug bait around them. Those, I believe, are summer squash. They should produce a little bit before the end of the year, hopefully. We'll see. They're like a 40-day variety. The deer did come in and take off the tops of the blueberries on this side, but it won't hurt the blueberries at all. They'll be fine. This little container is gorgeous. So that's just some vinca that we picked up at Walmart, and a few of the shorter zinnias in there as well. I just wanted to have some color in with the blueberries because it's only like their second year, the blueberries, so they're pretty small. And same over here. Got some vinca and then some smaller zinnias. I think these are like the profusion zinnias from Wally, just like a 4-pack that was on clearance. I still haven't cut this pepper out, even though this guy took the biggest hit from the deer. I don't know, it's putting on new growth, but it doesn't have any flowers at all. I'll give it another week. If it doesn't, then I'm going to pull it, because this one is starting to put on some buds. So, alright, this situation right here is something that I just did yesterday. So I bought these dogwoods the first year that I moved to this house, and it's like a red twig and a yellow twig dogwood, and they've been in their containers now for 3 seasons, and I just couldn't decide what I was going to do with them. And so they've been completely dried out. They're way too big for their containers, but they're dogwood bushes, so they're just like, they don't care. They're basically weeds. But they had been struggling a lot more this year than they had in the years before. So I got them just in some water. They can stay in the water the whole time. And I cut them way back down to 3 stems. Oh gosh, it was on YouTube, a channel called Over the Fence. And she did an interview with a gardener out in, I think they're out in Washington or Oregon or someplace like that. She does all of her interviews are out there. And the woman had like a small tree, which was a dogwood bush that she had, put into tree form and limbed up. So I'm going to try and do that with those. I got them both on clearance, and 3 years ago, and they've survived for this long. I figured, I think I paid $7 a piece for them. I figured I'm going to try it. I got 2 really nice big, like a terracotta look, but the lightweight sort of, I don't know what it is, plastic or some sort of material, planters, and I'll try to have those out here next week to show you guys. Maybe I'll get those planted up. I got to get some soil, and I'm going to just grow them in those containers for a while, probably up the north side, and just limb them up. And then eventually I want to get them maybe either pound or still in their containers. I'm going to keep them in the containers as long as possible. But on this this side of the porch, because this is where the only access that I have to like underneath the porch in the back here, which is why I don't do anything over here. And you can see my little gas meter there and stuff like that. But this is the only place that you can get under the porch and get to the water, get to the basement access, that sort of thing. I mean, obviously I can get to the basement from my house, but from under the porch from outside, this is the only space. So I don't want to plant this up. I don't want to have a lot of things in the ground, but I do want to have something that kind of gets taller and provides a little afternoon sort of shade and privacy without putting up, you know, some like a fence or something like that. You know, we do have the lattice here, and I have more lattice to go on the front. That project just keeps getting pushed off, but that's what I kind of want to do over here and so just nothing super tall, but maybe like 10-15 feet tall. And that's what I'm gonna try and do with these dogwood anyways. That's why they are sitting in the gorilla cart, just in some water. And so I'll just keep this stem, you know, with the 3, and just keep limbing those up and letting the tops fill out with leaves. We'll see how it goes. I've never done anything like that before, so it's definitely going to be an experiment. But like I said, I didn't spend a whole lot of money on those plants to begin with, so it won't be a huge loss if it doesn't work out, and I can always just stick them in the ground somewhere and they'll take off and grow just fine. This grass is starting to get its seed heads. Super pretty. This grass has gotten insane in these containers. You can barely see anything else in here, but there is other stuff in here. There's a lantana and some Dusty Miller. There's also some petunias in there, but the petunias have struggled. They were crazy petunias, and they just haven't done well in either one of these containers. I do have some other crazy petunias up on the porch that are doing much better, but these ones, not great. The candelabra hydrangeas, looking gorgeous. Lots of buds open, lots of buds coming. Really pretty. Even this one over here that got eaten by the deer earlier in the season. Tons of new growth. New buds coming on that new growth. Super happy. I didn't think I was going to get a lot of flower heads off of this one this year because of the deer damage, but it happened at kind of right at the right time, where the plant has had enough time to put on new growth. Oh, here's another. These seed heads just starting to pop out here. They're gorgeous. I forget what kind of grass this is. I started it from seed though. This is seed from Baker Creek. Little geraniums still doing really, really well in here. This daisy is done blooming for the season. I'm going to dig it out of here and plant it up somewhere on the north side. Dusty Miller, all the Dusty Miller I started from seed this year. It looks really good. Took a while to take off, but it looks great. I don't know if I've talked about this with you guys, but this is a fig, Fig Nominal from Burpee that I got as a live plant at the beginning of the year. And it's doing really, really well. It's a dwarf variety, so it stays super small, but it does get fruit. I'm not going to get any fruit off of it this year that I can tell, but I can bring it in the house, and it's really grown beautifully. Let me see. Yeah, so Fig Nominal. And I love figs, but I can't have them outside here. My zone is not compatible with any figs, so they're not perennial here, So I didn't want to have to drag some big tree in and out of the house, but a little plant like this, totally fine. Well, I'll just bring that up to the plant room for the winter and let it grow up there and with all the rest of my house plants. And then hopefully next year we'll see some fruit off of it. These zinnias looking good in here. Again, this is obviously a bigger zinnia than I wanted in here. I kind of had just these little like Thumbelina zinnias in mind for this, but I don't know where this one came from. It's it's beautiful though. I love the orange. There's some vinca in here too. The Purple Heart still doing gorgeous. Lots of blooms coming. Really pretty. It's huge. Considering it was just like a leggy thing at the beginning of the year, I'm really impressed with how that's done. I may even be able to cut it into a few more plants when I bring it in the house this year. These geraniums are doing gorgeous. There's basil in here that's doing gorgeous and smells amazing. Really starting to pop up. Been out here, I've cut this a few times. That little spirea that I talked about last week, still looking, I mean, it looks amazing. Just keeping it in water, just like that. It looks beautiful. Really gorgeous. So much growth. These are the other crazy tunias, the rose gold. These are the only ones that have had any type of success this year. They look beautiful with the alyssum and the dichondra silver falls. Have dichondra in these baskets as well. Looks gorgeous. I love dichondra. And I just wanted something really sort of neutral back here up against the house, especially since I tend to have a lot of color on the porch in general. And if you're looking from, you know, down in the kitchen garden, it's just a lot going on. So, but I wanted to have something here, but sort of neutral, if that makes sense. Everything in here is doing really great. So I started a bunch of lettuce last week. And last week? Yeah, well, before last week's garden tour, but in the middle of that week, I threw a ton of lettuce seed in a lot of the empty spaces here, and everything really germinated quickly because we had that nice spell of heat, and everything's coming on gorgeous. This one is having a lot more luck with the nasturtiums than the other green stock is. This nasturtium is really pretty. I think it's all tip tops that are in these, so I don't know what that one is. Tip top something. But it's really gorgeous, really gorgeous. And the basil in here is also doing really well. And we've even gotten a few green beans off of the green beans that survived from the first planting. So like I said, I got all these beets in the ground yesterday and some cabbage that was back here. These are ornamental cabbage, ornamental kale, and I believe this is also Coeur de that I started thinking that the stuff that I had started over here wasn't going to germinate, and then like everything over here just germinated. I still have a few things in here that I want to get in the ground. I had a couple things of cauliflower. I got those in the ground. These are ornamentals, so they're not really going to go in the ground. I'm saying in the ground, but they're going to go in pots. And I'm just going to keep them on the porch out back here until I want to pot them up into planters, probably in the front mostly, because of, you know, to have that fall decor. And these green beans that I put in here were supposed to be bush beans, but I definitely think they're runners. They are just climbing all over. So I probably don't really want that climbing on there, because then I can't move the green stalk. But yeah, I don't recommend planting climbing green beans in your green stalk, simply because you want to be able to spin it so that all sides can get sun. But I guess I'm just going to kind of train these up all to the top here and hook them all together and just have that growing up there like that. We did have a lot more nasturtiums in these, but for whatever reason, this side hasn't done as well, like I said, as that side has done for the nasturtiums. This is Yod Fa, which is kind of like a broccolini type plant. It's doing very well. Again, these beans don't seem to be bush beans in my mind. Anyways, they're going to need at least some sort of support. And like I said, I'm just going to kind of bring them all up on together and let them twist up there and then grow down the sides. Yeah, let me see. I can't think of anything else that I definitely, 100% needed to talk to you guys about. The hollyhocks are looking beautiful still. Oh, this is something I wanted to talk about. So hollyhocks, as gorgeous as they are, their leaves are very broad, flat leaves. They take a lot of damage. Any sort of, even hard rain can make marks on these leaves. But they also get like a rust. They get rust, they get like fungus, they get mildew, they get all that stuff. So I left this on these to show you guys what that looks like. But you can just come in and cut that off. And it doesn't hurt the plant at all. It doesn't stop the blooms. You can see down here that I've done a big cut. And then new growth will come as well. New, fresher growth down at the bottom that doesn't have the rust on it. And some of these I got to come in and just clean this up a little bit more because the deer did that. You can see the deer came and ate all those. The stick ones. I cut them back right at the stem and he comes in and just eats the leaves. But these ones have taken a lot of hits from those deer this year and it's been a little rough on them. But they're still looking good. Got a few. It was very windy, so they're just kind of like pushed back right now. It's been very windy for the past 2 days, but I'll be able to come in and move them back out here today because it's going to be nice. And the Josephine clematis, which starts here, is coming out. And I thought it was kind of done for the year, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to get any flowers off of it. But now I'm seeing new growth. So maybe it's going to climb some more. Maybe it just sort of stopped because of the heat. I don't know. But maybe it'll come out. We may see some buds off of it after all. Not sure, though. It's only its second year. It did flower its first year, but perennials like this, clematis and things like that, even though it has beautiful growth, I mean, it has a ton of growth on it, it may not flower, and that's okay. I'm prepared for that. Like this Nellie Mosier had a lot of blooms on it this year. You can see there was even one sort of smaller one here that took a beating in our rain and wind, but it had fantastic growth this year and a few flowers, which was way more than I could even ask for, honestly, considering it was just like a little quart plant that I paid $8 for. And it still got growth starting. But next year I fully do not expect to see very many flowers, if any at all, off of that, because it'll be just its second year in the ground and it'll be spending its energy getting settled in. And that'll be okay. It'll probably grow. We'll have lots of foliage like I do from the Josephine. And that's really beautiful too. And it just gives me that visual of what this dog kennel is going to look like once those are more mature and they're spread out all over the place. I think I want to get yet another clematis in here, something with smaller blooms, because the Josephine and the Nellie Mosier are really big blooms. But I'm thinking something maybe like a pink mink where the the blooms sort of hang, you know, they have that bell sort of thing. And there's like tons and tons of them. Like maybe just kind of stick in here and take the hollyhocks on the ends out and do hollyhocks someplace else. I do have a shorter variety. This is that champagne hollyhock up in front here. So the reason why I put these in here is because I want them to start growing early on and shade the Nellie Mosier clematis. So I don't have anything to shade that clematis's feet in in the spring. So these hollyhocks will take care of that. And then they're shorter. They're not very tall. They're sort of closer to like a small hollyhock here, even though these are the same black hollyhocks as these ones on the end. Those ones don't get as tall because they don't get as much sun, but these will be more like that size. And that'll be nice with the delphiniums on either side. It'll just give a nice, heavy base here where you can't see anything that's, you know, coming up from the back. You can't see the base of the dog kennel there, which is, you know, I just want to, you know, having the dog kennel is fantastic, and the dogs having space and is wonderful. We go to the dog park for their exercise. Just being able to have this where they can be out for a little while on their own is wonderful, but it's not exactly, you know, pretty. So I can grow on it. That's how I feel about it, and I will. Yeah, okay. So let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. I'm really happy with the way things have bounced back from all the deer attacks and the slugs and everything, and we're starting to be able to bring in a little bit of food and enjoy the garden and cut flowers. So I think I just get a little impatient because our season kind of it's such a short season, but it takes so long to get to the actual fruition where you're able to enjoy it and bring it indoors. Because that's a big part of the garden for me, is being able to then bring what I'm growing inside, whether I'm going to eat it or I'm just going to have flowers everywhere, that sort of thing. It's a big part of the garden for me. So it's hard to wait for that. And I get a little impatient, and I definitely get a little disappointed when I see the damage from the animals, because it just sets things back even longer. But now that it's here, I'm feeling really, really good, um, and feeling a little bit foolish for being so impatient the rest of the year, or sort of being like, oh my God, everything's gonna fail. Even though I haven't necessarily been that way here on YouTube, but in my mind and with Lily, we're just like, oh my God, we're not gonna get any tomatoes, we're not gonna get any cucumbers. The green beans, I think we were right to be worried about the green beans, though. That was justified. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.